Today, deep concerns about the bushfire threat in Tasmania today. Hot, windy and dozens of fires burning.
Already we're seeing quite nasty fire weather conditions across the state.
Temperatures soar in the southeast, putting pressure on the power grid. The body of explorer Matthew Flinders found under a London train station, ending a 200-year mystery.
Ball's trying to get back. Sam Kerr, tap in.
And Sam Kerr becomes the leading goal scorer in the history of the soccer's W League. Welcome to Mornings. I'm Joe O'Brien. Taking a quick look at the weather first in capital cities around the nation today. Brisbane, a possible shower. Sydney, cloud clearing. Canberra, hot and mostly sunny, 39. Melbourne headed to 44 today and windy. Hobart, hot as well and windy. Adelaide, partly cloudy. Perth, sunny and Darwin, a shower or two, a possible storm. Tasmania's bushfire situation is worsening, with emergency warnings issued for several locations, including Zeehan and Renison Bell on the state's west coast. Reporter Rihanna Whitson joins us now from Hobart. Rihanna, good morning. So take us to the existing emergency warnings first. One fire in the northwest and one on the Central Plateau.
That's right. Now, worryingly, the fire burning at Lynch Hill on the west coast has been upgraded to an emergency warning this morning. Now, that's very early in the day, Joe, for that to be occurring. So the towns of Zeehan and the area of Renison Bell, they're under an emergency warning. An evacuation centre has been set up now at Queenstown. Fire authorities are telling people that it's safest to leave well before the fire hits. The area is expected to be impacted by fire in the next 2 to 6 hours. So people are being told either to go to that evacuation centre at Queenstown or to go to Waratah. We also have emergency warnings for the Great Pine-Tier Central Plateau fire. Now, most of the people in that area have left this week, but some still do remain. An evacuation centre has been set up at Bothwell, and fire authorities are telling people that even the most well-prepared homes may not be able to be defendable today. That's because these fires are unpredictable. The fire behaviour is erratic. We've got a perfect storm, really. We've got hot temperatures, we've got strong winds. So really, the advice is get out early.
Yeah, and so Rihanna, just how high will temperatures get today across Tasmania and how strong will those winds be?
Temperatures in some parts of Tasmania are expected to reach 38 degrees. Now for Tasmania, that is very hot. We don't often see temperatures that warm down here. Winds are expected to get up to speeds of about 50 kilometres an hour. There have been some concerns that the winds might be so strong that some aircraft used to fight these fires may not actually be able to be put up in the sky. So that is very worrying.
Now, you've talked about those two fires where there are the emergency warnings in the northwest and the Central Plateau. Just talk us through some of the other areas of concern around the state at the moment where there are fires burning already.
The Terhune fire is the other area of concern. Now, that's not too far from Hobart, and I'm not sure if you're able to see on your screens, but there is actually ash starting to fall from the sky here in Hobart. It's very smoky. The Watch and Act message is in place for that area. Fire authorities are telling people not to travel south of Huonville. An evacuation centre has been set up at the PCYC Centre in Huonville, and the town of Geeveston is expected to come under ember attack today. We've been told that many people are starting to leave the area, and we know that a lot of people have already started to move their livestock. And with fire conditions expected to worsen today, particularly this afternoon, as I said before, the advice is to, if in doubt, get out early, and fire authorities really want people to be staying tuned to local radio and to the TFS website.
Yeah. Okay, Rihanna Whitson reporting there from Hobart, and we'll be right across that situation through the day here on the ABC News channel with the fire authorities there deeply concerned in Tasmania about the potential for things to get out of hand there later on, or actually through this morning even, with those temperatures already getting up and those winds increasing. And total fire ban is in place for all of Victoria today, with heatwave conditions continuing in the southeast corner of the mainland as well as in Tassie. We have reporters Stephanie Ferrier and Tom Fedorovich sweating it out in Melbourne and Adelaide respectively. Steph, to you first, how hot is it already there?
Yes, it's very hot. It's getting hotter by the second, and we've got really blustery conditions down here at St Kilda Beach, where the wind is picking up the sand and flinging it in everybody's faces. At the moment, it's already getting close to 36 degrees, and it's not just after 9 o'clock. And we're expecting to get up to 44 degrees today. That's the hottest temperature since Black Saturday 10 years ago. And I'm kind of hoping that some of these conditions might, lift me up and plonk me in the cooler waters over there. There's been some hardcore crazy people jogging along the beach and running as well, and cycling, doing really full-on cycles along the beach. By far the best place, of course, to be to escape the heat is in the sea over here, where a lot of people are just trying to cool down. We've seen a lot of people this morning getting in, and in fact I spoke to one swimmer who was just trying to cool off after a very horrible sweaty night.
Oh man, it's like so rough. It was so hot and sweaty, and I don't have an air conditioner. We're in like this share house, and so it was horrible. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty tired. I'm probably going to go back to bed and try and get a bit more sleep, I think.
Yeah, so it was very, very unpleasant last night, and in fact at Essendon it only got down to about 30.9 degrees. Luckily it was a little bit cooler in the city, so we didn't break any of those overnight low records. But these extreme heat and hot winds have already caused quite a few of the construction sites here to close, because it's just too dangerous for the tradies to get up and go onto those sites. And also we've, of course, as you said, have got full fire ban across Victoria, with extreme fire danger rating in the Mallee and Northwest District, North Central District. So they're definitely looking at these conditions, making sure that as this cool approaches, which is going to bring even more gusty winds, that firefighters are on the lookout for any of those spot fires that might come up in those regions.
And Steph, has the heat already led to some areas of Melbourne and other parts of Victoria being without power overnight, or have the power authorities been able to handle that situation?
Yes, well, we've actually just heard some information that about 1,500 homes in Tullamarines in Melbourne's north are without power. There's also a smaller outage in nearby Broadmeadows, and they're not expected to get any power back until around midday, so it's going to be very hot for them. We did have some power outages overnight, but no major ones. They did shut down, the energy market operator, AEMO, did shut down Alcoa last night just to try to preserve some of that energy for the grid. And obviously they're going to be watching very carefully during the day to see how this heat impacts on our electricity supplies. They're basically asking us not to run dishwashers, washing machines, other appliances that really don't need to be on unless you have to. They're calling for Victorians as well, maybe not to cool their places to an icebox level, but maybe just leave it on 24 degrees so that we try to avoid some of those peak demand times in the afternoon and also blackouts that might ensue.
Okay, let's go to Tom Fedorovich in Adelaide now. Tom, so it was ridiculously hot over much of South Australia yesterday. Did it break through 50 degrees anywhere?
It got very close, Joe. It got to 49.5 degrees in Port Augusta, and that's high enough that when you had a look on the weather map on the ABC News, it said 50 on the map, rounding it up. So extraordinary temperatures, and 48 degrees in a number of towns like Whyalla and Port Pirie, 47.7 in Kent Town in Adelaide. It didn't just hit that temperature briefly, it actually stayed around 47 degrees for a number of hours. It was still about 44 degrees at 8 o'clock last night. It was only after midnight that the change did start coming through and the temperature finally did cool down into the low to mid-20s. But spare a thought for people up in the Dassa and Maree and places in the South Australian outback who have sweated through another hot night with temperatures in the low to mid 30s.
And of course in South Australia there's always pretty enthusiastic discussion about the power grid there and how the system was able to cope. Were there blackouts in South Australia as a result of the system being overwhelmed?
From our understanding, there was no load shedding in South Australia last night. There was just enough electricity in the system to keep up with the demand of all the South Australians, keeping their air conditioning on, their appliances on, trying to stay cool and beat the heat. However, there were about 25,000 homes, mostly in Adelaide's western suburbs, that did lose electricity at some point. And SA Power Network says that's because the system simply couldn't keep up with the heat. Transformers and substations and some of that equipment simply failed or had a fault and had to be switched off to safeguard the infrastructure. So SA Power Network says it was unavoidable, it was unprecedented heat and stress on the system, and all those households have had their electricity restored, certainly by midnight, if not by now this morning.
And is it reasonable there today?
Yeah, we're expecting a top of about 31 degrees in Adelaide today. It's about 25, 26 at the moment. A little bit humid, but it's nice and overcast. And considering we had that record day of heat yesterday, this is pretty lovely.
Yeah, okay, we'll leave it there for the moment. Tom Fedorovich in Adelaide and Stephanie Ferrier on St Kilda Beach in Melbourne.